What's going on, everyone? We are back as promised with the Spear Rapier build. This is going to be a medium build, a very mobile build, a build that you can make plays with. If you're a very flashy type of player, you're definitely going to like this build itself, so I highly recommend tuning to the whole video. We're going to talk about the gear, we're going to talk about the weapon, we're going to talk about the whole shebang. This is the type of build that's it will require a little bit of practice because it does have quite a high skill ceiling. Yes, it's very flashy, but a lot of it just comes to spell usage, knowing when to iframe. Stamina management is very key, especially with certain abilities. But if you do end up playing this build and you get good at it, it will really reflect it. It's a build that might seem a little bit squishy, but it has a ton of mobility. You can outplay the enemies, you can outmaneuver them very easily with the evade, with the flesh, and make these plays. But it's not only about the mobility, it also has a ton of burst damage. You have the tracking from the perforate, you have the cyclone slow with the damage as well, empowerments from the skewer, and if they manage to get away, you can always gap close them with the rapier. Alright, so we're going to talk about the stats, and as you can see here, I'm going for the 300 dex, 200 con, and 100 strength. I put extra points on dex because of the stat scaling alongside the spear and the rapier. Yeah, you lose about 3 to 5 damage on the spear, but you gain a lot more on the rapier, so might as well just put those additional points on dex. 200 con is a no-brainer here. You are playing medium, so you're kind of squishy. If you play with PRs, yeah, you can get away with probably 100 con. If you're really ratty, maybe you can even play less than that, but 200 con is the safe bet, especially when it comes to wars. 300 dex perk will help you out in case you get stunned, staggered, kind of CC chains, and just insta weapon swap to the rapier, evade backwards, flesh out, whatever you want to do. Pretty safe approach here, and of course you're getting a lot of damage coming to 250 dex to 200 dex. So you got backstab as well as empowerment whenever you dodge, which makes it really easy to get that empowerment when you are using the rapier. 100 strength is a no-brainer, obviously, to get that bonus damage. When it comes to the skill tree, this is what I would recommend as a bread and butter spear build for the rapier itself. Of course, you have to go for the skewer. Whenever you are applying the bleed with the finisher artifact, you are getting 15% bonus damage for both weapons. Cyclone is a must-have damage perk. It also gives you stamina as well whenever you hit the enemies. And perforates with fortifying perforate on your gear to make yourself a little bit tankier, but also stacking up the exploited weakness. For the rapier approach, we're just mostly going to use mobility, CDR, and just abilities that keeps you out of the gap close or to get out of trouble and have a lot of uptime. And that's why we're going for the evade, flourish and finish. Flourish and finish also gives you 20 stamina on the finish itself. You're gonna have a lot of CDR perks on crit, on hit, stamina as well, and some mobility. Some people would debate, well, why don't you just go for Tondo? Why don't you get the flurry and get the last perk to get the bleed? That way you can actually trigger bleeds a lot faster. You don't really need it because mostly when you play with a keenly jagged spear and spear with skewer, you're always going to guarantee yourself a crit when you're hitting them from the back, and you're just going to be applying keenly jagged. If they try to get away, skewer as well is another way to secure that bleed. So it's really not needed, and rapier is mostly for the utility to get in, to get out, and just get that extra finishing blow to the toolkit. The key components here for the weapon itself, as I mentioned before, is keenly jagged. Penetrating backstab for extra damage alongside attunement, which is the bread and butter. It's going to work on abilities and your normal left clicks. You're going to have a rune glass DOT on both weapons. However, on a spear, it's going to be an opal because you're always going to be chasing people by shifting forward and hitting them, ideally from the back, so you get guaranteed crits, which is going to give you invigorating crits and keenly jagged at the same time. Finisher, on the other hand, we are going for the opportunist, which is an emerald. Why are we going for the emerald? Well, because generally when we are chasing people with the rapier, we're going to be chasing them when they're low. And that's why we've also locked play crits to just disable or just affect their potion / healing effects whenever they're trying to get themselves out of trouble. And that's where the play crits and opportunist really kicks in. When it comes to the gear itself, we've kind of mixed it up, and the reason why is because of Magnify. We don't want to have too many frigid pieces, or in general, we just don't want enough Magnify that it's going to screw up with our 300 dex 200 con builds. The only Magnify pieces we have gone for is the Tumbler Feet Wraps artifact, as well as the Finisher artifact, and then the Frigid chest piece. We have to lock Fortifying Perforate. Playing medium, you need to go heavy chest, heavy pants, and then light, light, medium, or the other approach you could go for would be to go heavy chest, light pants, and then medium, medium, and heavy when it comes to the limbs. But because you are playing Tumbler Feet Wraps, you'd rather go for that first approach I mentioned, and therefore you want to have the Frigid chest piece. That's going to guarantee you Elemental Version Enchanted Wood. Elemental Version is going to be the most important perk out of them all here. It's going to be a lot about survivability, sustainability. That's why we're locking Shirking Heels as the third perk, either be on the crafts or the Frigid pieces itself. Tumblers all includes 2 pieces of Shirking Heels because it's got 1 from the actual artifact, which is Shirking Blessing, alongside Shirking Heels. The prio is Elemental Aversion into either Shirking Fortification or Enchanted Wood. These are kind of the illegal perks you can obtain in certain dungeons, either be, as you can see, the Heavy Pants, Medium Gloves from Savage Divides, or the Frigid from the Glacial Tarn. Fortifying Perforate is a must-have perk in this, and I've obtained Thrust Conditionings, but you could go for Health, Refreshing. It's up to you to decide what kind of third perk you want for your illegal pieces. These pieces here, you have to RNG the third perk, so you don't really have an option, so you have to grind the dungeons whenever it's available, and this only comes from Mutation, I believe, 1+, with the Tumbler Feet Wraps providing you a ton of fortification, 25% and 50% empowerment. If you do go for the Shirking Fortification approach, it's really nice because you're going to be stacking a ton of fortifies. Even if you're playing medium, it's still really going to add up. So I highly recommend either going for the duo perk lock illegal combos that you can get from the dungeons, or even just crafting a Shirking Fort, Shirking Heel set. Jewelry wise, Champion's Amulet, Champion's Ring, you can lock the third perk. I've obviously went for Thrust Protection and Thrust Damage. It is a Spear Rapier build after all. Most of the damage is going to be Thrust other than the Cyclone. And for the Earring, Fortifying Toast, in my opinion, one of the best perks, if not the best perks for melee decks. 8-second duration, 20% Fortify, and it's only a 10-second cooldown. That means a 2-second downtime. Refreshing Toast for faster pot uptime, and regenerating is always nice to have. And as always, if you liked the video and if you want to see more of these videos come out, make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions at all, drop down a comment on the comment section or go to my community Discord and ask away there. For the meantime, that's all that we got, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.